So, how's it going, everybody? This is the same group of people doing these very, very fun podcasts. It is me, Nick, and on the other side of this is...
Mike.
Steve Buscemi.
We're going to be doing another podcast one. That's Travis over there. This is going to be a one where we're going to be talking about our favorite video game villains. And I don't know if we got suggested this one or if it was just one that my crazy imagination thought of. But we've had a couple of really good ones. Really?
I think it was.
Crazy. Thank you, Crazy Imagination. So, yeah, we're going to be doing that one. So, who wants to start us off? Because we both have a side one and a main one.
Let's have Travis start.
Travis has to go last. Trust me on this, Mike.
Okay, then I'll start it. That's what I'll do. Okay, so for my first... Well, we're doing two each, right?
Yes.
Okay, so my first one might come as a bit of a surprise, because I usually talk about how I don't enjoy this game as much, but I love the creativity of the villain, and that's Majora from Majora's Mask, or Skull Kid, I guess.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Yeah, I like games that kind of get away from sort of the cliched. Like in every Zelda game, you have Ganondorf as the villain. So as cool as Ganondorf is...
Or some version of the evil spirit like Demise.
Yeah, something like that. It all kind of relates to the same thing. But this game did something completely different with the villain. And this one's cool because he wasn't like out for vengeance or he didn't have like a certain goal. You know, the whole point of Majora was just to destroy the world. And which led to the game being so dark. It was, he doesn't care about anything. There's nothing to bargain with. He just wants to destroy the world. And so I think that made it so much more dark and so much more likable and so much more different. You know, it wasn't a villain that had like this goal that was talking to. It was just sort of this object that led to this great demise. And so I think I liked that about it. Because, I mean, not to deviate from what we're talking about, but the whole idea of Majora's Mask, I love that game's story and the atmosphere that it made because it's so creative and unique. And it's so dark for Nintendo. Like, they usually don't do stuff like that. And so I think it was really cool for them to do that. And I think that the whole thing just originates from a mask is really crazy. Yeah. And then Skullkin himself has, like, kind of a sad backstory. That he's kind of a lonely kid that gets bullied and stuff. And so to see that he sort of falls under that and gets the mask and goes crazy, it's a very sad villain, I guess, which is what I liked about it so much.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to what Disney did with Kingdom Hearts. It's just crazy that they allowed him to go that route.
Yeah, it is.
It's perfect, and it leads to an amazing game, but it is just so surprising that they do that.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So mine one that I'm going to be talking about, and this is for people who you've known. We did a podcast about how much we don't like where Paper Mario is, and when they kind of started deviating from that with Super Paper Mario, but the story in Super Paper Mario is so freaking good.
It is.
It's dark, it's ominous, and I do have to say Dimentio is one of my favorite villains. Like, I don't think he's like up there as my favorite, but he is dang close as one of my favorite ones. Because for those of you who haven't played the game, it's like, for those of you who haven't played the game, Paper Mario and Paper Mario Thousand Year Door are both very similar in the way that they approach combat and in the way that they... Even in the way they deliver a story, kind of a generic princess gets captured by an evil group of people, one time Bowser, the other time the X-Nauts, and they want to save the princess. This one isn't really like that. It's more of like this Chaos Heart and everything. Like, the Chaos Heart is like tearing like a rift in space and is going to destroy everything. Mm-hmm. And it was made when, spoilers, Peach and Bowser got married. And so, you literally need the pure hearts to go back on it, but like... Count Bleck isn't even, like, the main villain in that. And it's, like, Dimentio who's really trying to take advantage of this guy, which is just crazy. And, like, you see so much character development from there. And even though the combat isn't the same and whatnot, just the story is amazing. I don't want to talk too much about it, because, seriously, if you haven't played a game Super Paper Mario, maybe the gameplay isn't as much as you would expect a Paper Mario game to be, but the story is so good, and the villains are perfect.
Yeah, Dimentio is a good example of, like, that type of villain where, like, for the most of the game, he's not the main villain, but even, like, it's one of those cases where, like, the side villain is way cooler than the main villain, Like, even from the beginning, you're aware that, like, Dimentio is way more badass than Count Bleck was.
Yeah, which is just so cool, which actually is going to be leading into my next favorite villain, but I'll save that for later. But no, I love the fact that you love Dimentio, too. He was so cool.
Oh, yeah.
Travis, are you gonna blow our mind now?
I'm excited.
Let's see. Sure. So I'll do the one that's probably not as evil, and I'll say it's the actual user in Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh,
that's a good one.
I like
that's a really good one.
what's really cool is like you don't really think that like you'll be the bad guy, but then after you slay everything, whatever. They've watched the Shadow of the Colossus playthrough.
We'll put a spoiler warning,
not,
so
we'll
it's all
put
good.
spoiler alert. Just because like it blew my mind that the entire time, like we're trying to revive our girlfriend, and then we end up just becoming this big, giant, dark demon thing because we slayed all of the different colossi within the area. It was so cool. So
I had to look up the ending after after Matt was playing that game. It was so cool.
Yeah, so like it just blew my mind that like you would actually be the evil person without even knowing that you're like actually doing evil things.
Yeah. Which is really cool, though, because like it really makes you take a step back. And I remember somebody's interpretation, I think it was a YouTube comment, so I don't take credit for thinking of this myself. But like the time when they're literally trying to seal you away when you become this demon, like you realize that you can't do anything about it. These little people like shooting arrows and poking you and whatnot, like that's hurting you. And you realize that you're like now put in this position that you did to all of these beasts before. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so cool how like the tables get turned. Like, it's amazing when games are like that well designed that can make you see and feel those like emotions, which is not seen in a lot of games, which I think was why Shadow of the Colossus is such a good game.
Yeah, and there's no dialogue in it either, like for the most part. Like we say all this and all this interpretation, and the game says nothing, you know? It just shows it, which is awesome.
Yeah. It's awesome. I love that. All right, Mike, do you want to talk about your favorite video game villain then?
Yes. So this is one of my favorite villains ever, mostly because she's really, really funny, and that's GLaDOS from Portal 2 and Portal.
Oh, that's an amazing villain too. Damn.
I guess, and to go along with GLaDOS, I kind of want to throw Wheatley in there because of Portal 2. He's kind of the main villain, even though GLaDOS is in there.
Yeah.
It's funny because GLaDOS is pretty evil. Like, her whole intention is to keep you trapped in this laboratory to just go through tests for the rest of your life. And she keeps you alive. I forgot how they explain that, but she does that for so many years. And you're just running through tests over and over. And as soon as you try to escape, she tries to kill you at the end of her testing. And then she comes after you. And then in the second game, she comes back to life and continues to try to kill you. And she's so well designed. I think she's a great singer, too. I don't know if you've heard the last two songs of the game, Still Alive and Want You Gone.
Is this Portal 2 or Portal 1?
Both of them.
Okay, I think so. Because I remember we played Portal 1 for stream a long time ago.
Yeah, so I'm sure we did hear the ending for that song. It's so funny. She's just such a likable character. The final boss fight in that game was very interesting too, because it's just a puzzle game. You don't actually have any weapons or anything like that. So I kind of just enjoyed the fact that you like literally rip her apart piece by piece and throw her into an incinerator. Again, we'll probably need spoiler alert for this too, but but it's really cool, and it's so unique the way that she's designed. I think it was just so well done, that whole game. I loved that game.
Oh yeah, like I think Portal does a lot of things right, and very few things wrong. I wish they would come out with a Portal 3.
I wish.
Do you remember the first time when Eric? Do you remember the first time when Eric was seeing Pat play Portal, and he was just like, "What is going on?"
Yeah, that game is such a mind trip sometimes. It's so funny.
Yeah,
I love it.
All right, Travis, you want me to go, and then you'll finish us off?
Sure.
Okay. So for my favorite video game villain, this is actually in a game that I played very recently. And, I was kind of iffy on it here and there. But for long story short, this is going to be Berkut in Fire Emblem Echoes. And so it's a recent remake of Fire Emblem Gaiden, which was didn't have an English release, I don't think. And this is what I played it for 3DS. And there's a couple of things that made Berkut so good. And it's like what we were talking about with Dementio, where it's just like he was kind of a side character, kind of a side villain, and he didn't think too much of him. And he's like, he was a cool guy and whatnot, but so this is also a little bit of a spoiler, but he keeps messing up in the eyes of the Emperor, and without giving too much away, he basically goes absolutely crazy and on a rampage. And I don't want to give away a big spoiler on this, but there is going to be a minor spoiler. Basically, he realizes that he's not going to be the heir to this throne that he initially thought that he was going to be. So he starts kind of losing his mind a little bit, but like there's a scene in Act 5 where he runs into the this catacomb area of the tower, and he's talking and whatnot, and he finds like the dark god, or the god that's responsible for putting him in this whole situation, Duma. And as he's talking to him, he's like, he wants him to give him power. Sorry, I'm doing not the best job explaining this, but he starts basically going insane when he realizes this, and that everybody knew that he wasn't like the next in line, but they just never told him. So he basically just goes into like on a complete rampage, and the voice acting was done so well, and I don't know how else to describe it, but you have to play the game. Mm-hmm. I know this isn't the best way to say that, just play the game, but you have to play the game to see what has made him. The delivery and everything was perfect, and the final boss, like the end game in Fire Emblem Echoes was amazing, but I consider when you face Berkut in like the very bottom or whatnot, I consider that like the final boss, because I thought he was way cooler than just killing the dragon like you would in another Fire Emblem game. Huh. Berkut, I think, had amazing character development, and when he lost his mind, I was just like, holy crap. Yeah. This guy is like one of my favorite villains.
For sure.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I know I did a better job at describing Dimentio, but Berkut was extremely well written.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Everybody who's a diehard fan of Fire Emblem Gaiden, like, loves Berkut. I've heard amazing things about him, and like the voice acting was done perfectly. Huh. So if you ever play the game, watch Berkut closely, because the development is really good.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, sorry, long rant or long walk for a short drink of water. Berkut is awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, now I think Travis is ready to blow our minds with our last one. Correct?
Okay, and the most evil kind of character in any sort of game are your friends in Mario Kart.
It's true.
They are the most savage. They feel no remorse, even a little bit. In fact, they get a little joy when they, just absolutely massacre you, and they think it's okay.
That's so funny.
We were waiting when we were brainstorming this, Mike. I just wanted to see your reaction, because me and Travis were just like, oh, Mike's going to love this.
I'm just thinking, because that's true. I'm like, the worst video game villain ever is just Nick, basically.
Or Mike, or Travis.
Let's be serious. In this instant, it's actually Matt, because he'll get the triple red shell in second, guaranteed, every time. And he just laughs, and then he says how good he is at the game. You're like, if I got triple red shells every time, there's no way I would get anything other than first.
Yeah, now that you say that, your answer is correct, because there is nothing worse than the person that gets that item and then says they're the best player when they win.
Exactly.
Do you think this video has gotten too... Hey, Mike and Travis, do you think this video has gotten too meta? Now we're our favorite video game villains?
Right, pretty much, huh? We've become our own worst enemy.
We are our own worst enemy.
That's funny.
It's actually true though, because I mean, obviously we shit talk in these games just because they're a lot of fun, and it leads to some very interesting situations. But I mean, let's face it, you might hate certain villains and might love the development, but you don't hate anybody more than when somebody brags about straight up luck in a game.
Oh, true.
And that's what Mario
that's
Kart
like
is.
with Mario Party 2, like when you get that thing that switches your stars,
Yep.
And then you win because of that. It's like, oh.
Did you know that Nick's mom won once?
Yeah.
Yeah, with being asleep for half of the game.
That's the worst.
No, okay, so sorry. I'm just going to squeeze this in at the very end just because we're about to end this podcast. This one I'll do better because I've told the story a couple of times. My cousin loves Mario Party. She comes over and she wanted to play Mario Party with us. And this was around maybe 10 o'clock at night, way past my parents' bedtimes. So it was me, my cousin, my mom, and my dad all playing Mario Party. And this was Mario Party 2, I believe, either 2 or 1. So we were playing it, and my mom was basically asleep for half of it. My dad had to press the A button for her to go, and she barely even participated in any of the mini games and whatnot. But my cousin just wanted her to be down there. Somehow she got a star, I think, from a hidden block. I ended up at the game with 7 stars. 5 turns left. There's a chance time where we switch stars, me and my mom. My mom won Mario Party without even being awake. So when my cousin woke up my mom and she's like, hey, Aunt Michelle, you won. She goes, can I go to bed now? I was just like, I was so pissed.
That's awesome.
At least she wasn't savage enough to brag about it.
Right.
She was half conscious throughout the whole time.
That's awesome.
But yes,
just the way I like
Either way, let us know what you think. Oh God! Let us know what you think. Ignore what Travis just said there. Let us know what you think. Who your favorite video game villains are. And yeah, let us know if you agree or disagree with us. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.